Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursalin. Muhammadin al-Nabi al-Ummeh. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ijma'in. Amma ba'd. Yaqulu Allah Ta'ala fil Quran al-Kareem. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Today's subject is technically it's family appeal number 3. But that was a question last time about jinns, and so I just went into it to go over it again to make sure we was on the right road. The word jinn is derived from jannah, meaning he covered or concealed, or hid, or protected. All Arabic lexicologists are agreed on its Arabic origin. And moreover, there's numerous words in the Arabic which are derived from the same root as the verb jannah, meaning it covered or overshadowed. It could also mean garden. I'm going to just ad-lib instead of we talked about it before, like garden, because a garden is hidden inside overseas. Here, gardens are outside. In many places overseas, gardens are inside. You go inside, and then all of a sudden, there's a garden, maybe a fountain, or something inside the house. So, Jannah, I mean, is covered, is hidden, but it also relates to Jannah, a paradise. Then there's things related to old Shaitan and the jinn. You know, he refused to bow down to Adam because he figured Adam was made out of clay and he was made out of fire. It says it's extremely hot fire free of smoke is so hot. So when he was told to bow down, he said, I'm not going to bow down because I'm better than he is. Now, just in passing, I want to make the point that in Christianity, Lucifer was a fallen angel. But in Islam, that's not possible because an angel cannot do anything but what he's told to do. Say, we hymn the praises of Allah. So he was not an angel, he was from amongst the jinn. Now, here's something that relates to men. And we made the wind subservient to Solomon. It made a month's journey in the morning and a month's journey in the evening. And we made a fountain of molten brass to flow for him. And of the jinn, there were those who worked for him by the command of his Lord. So these jinn were foreigners. That's because that's another word for jinn. Jinn is, you don't see them, they're foreigners, they're way over there, they exist. Even what we used to see in the microscope now used to be considered a jinn because you couldn't see it, right? A germ. So biologically, you couldn't see those things are part of creation. They actually make up everything, but you couldn't see them. So they were, in those days, considered jinn. Okay, now hardened believers. In the name of Allah, beneficent and merciful, say, it has been revealed to me that a party of jinn listened. So they say, surely we have heard a wonderful recital, the Quran, guiding to the right way. So we believed in it, and we shall not set up any other Lord other than Allah. So, now history tells us that when the Prophet ﷺ went to Taif, he had been cut off and isolated so much in Mecca that he was going out to do dawah in other places, so he went to Taif. They ran him out, so much blood was coming down his body that it soaked his shoes, and he actually prayed for the people. Now, at that time, when he was coming back, it is said that when this revelation came, that a group of jinn heard this recital. Now, you have to remember that what was happening in Medina at this time? The Jews had received revelation. The Jews was considered the wise people of Al-Medina and what have you. And they told the Arabs, they said, look, y'all gonna get yourself a prophet because y'all the seed of Abraham, too. And so, of course, they didn't expect nothing to happen. Then, when the prophet popped up, they said, the people of Al-Medina, the Arabs, went to their normal rituals in Mecca, the Arabs, Jahiliyyah. During that time, they went to see the prophet. This revelation came down when he left Taif, that a group of jinn, the foreigners, the people there at that time in Medina, they were foreigners. They heard the recital of the Quran. They said, man, this is deep. This is better than what sent to Moses, and plus the Christians talking about the plurality of gods. This is great. This is from Surah Jinn. Jinn. Yeah. So jinn, I'm going to speed up. So jinn don't mean just either people or spiritual beings. It means both. That's why spiritual beings wouldn't be working for Solomon, you know what I mean, making iron stuff and all that, And in fact, the jinn helped build the Temple of Solomon. But they didn't think it was do y'all remember in the Quran when it's talking about the little ants was gnawing at Solomon's staff? Okay. Yeah. And then later it said, well, I might even have it here. Let me see if I can hustle it up. Because here's something else. Now, put thy hand into thy bosom. No, that's and they rejected these signs in inquiry and in iniquity and arrogance, though their souls were convinced thereof. See, what was the end of those who acted corruptly? Let me go on. See, we gave in the past knowledge to David and Suleiman, and they both said, praise be to Allah, who has favored us above many of his servants. And Solomon was David's heir. He said, O people, we have been taught the speech of birds, and on us has been bestowed a little of all things. This is indeed manifest from Allah. And before, Suleiman had marshaled his host of jinns and men. That's one of the things I want. And notice he say he's been given a little. All great religious personalities never come arrogantly like, thank you, God, for just showing me the whole show. I'm as happy as I can be. Now I know everything. They always say that, a little, right? Because Allah is so there's no way for the human mind to hold this whole creation. In fact, Allah is so grand and so great that He gave everybody in the earth 7 heavens and 7 earths. It wouldn't diminish Allah at all. Okay, that's something else. Commanding, make thou coats of mail, balancing well the rings and chains of armor, and work ye righteous, for be sure we see clearly all that you do. And to Solomon we made the wind obedient in the early morning. This is the one we already went through. But here, there are people that work for him as he desired, making arches, images, basins, large reservoirs, and cooking cauldrons, fixed in their place. Work, ye sons of David, with thanks, but few of my servants are grateful. Then, when we decreed Solomon's death, nothing showed them his death except a little worm of the earth, which kept slowly gnawing away at his staff. So when he fell down, the jinns saw plainly that if they had known the unseen, they would not have tarried. What this means is, remember it says Solomon and David, or David and Solomon. After Solomon, I forget his son's name, his sons laid out that he just had pleasure. You know, he was a pleasure seeker. And then the empire crumbled. When it talks about these jinns, here's what it says. The jinns looked upon their work as a penalty, and so it became to them. These people that was working up here, they consider that a penalty. Now the children, Bani Israel, or the children of David and Solomon, they considered building the temple a great religious thing. But the helpers that they got captured people, you know, basically subjugated people from the area. They thought of it like what it was to them. This is just work, hard work, you know, like was this is slavery, man. This is picking cotton. Who wants to do that? So the jinn looked upon their work as a penalty, and so it became to them. The people who worked at the temple of Solomon, as the people of David, worked and glorified in their work as a thanksgiving to Allah. And their work became sanctified. The jinns knew nothing of the hidden or secrets. Then they saw the obvious, talking about Solomon's son. And now they're talking about empire. They go from personal stuff to empire. If they would have known the future, they would have never been there working, because they'd have said, yeah, you know, since I'm hanging here, this ain't gonna last but a little while longer, right? So why should we stay in subjugation? This is the same thing, the message we're putting to all our relatives. Hey, you know, why hang down? You can see what's going on. This boy is getting ready to go. So don't let your history govern your future, like slavery, oppression. Don't let that be your guideline for your future. Let your imagination grow and let that push you forward. So this is why we're talking a lot about family. So I was just mentioning this about jinns. What was in fact the last words of the Quran. Kul a'udhu birabbin nas, malikin nas, ilahin nas, min sharri waswasi khannas, alladhi yuwaswisu fi sudurin nas, min al-jannati wan nas. From amongst the jinn and the men. And Suleiman Marshall, here's one more just about Suleiman. Suleiman wanted somebody to go and check on the throne of the woman. They said an ifrit of the jinn, I will bring it to thee before thou rise from thy counsel. Indeed, I have full strength for the purpose and may be trusted. Here the footnote says, Ifrat, a large, powerful jinn, reputed to be wicked and crafty. Hence, he is anxious to be recognized as one that could be trusted. So it's the group of foreigners there, big old powerful jinn saying, hey, I'll go get that stuff in a hurry and I'll be right back before y'all even get up from sitting down here, right? So, so all of this about the jinn. The jinn is hidden. The jinn is made of fire, free of smoke. Adam is made out of mud, clay, right? Stinking mud, in fact. Stinking mud this guy made out of. Okay, so the jinn could be anything that's hidden, anything that's distant, and it could be anything that is hidden. And it could be, according to its reference, it's either a spiritual being or a physical being. So it could be both. That's the point I wanted to make. Yes, go ahead.
I noticed in that surah right there, Prophet Suleiman has them working for him.
Yes.
But then we said in Surah Nas, we seeking, at the last surah, we seeking refuge from them. Like as if they almost like shaitan workers.
Well, Khannas, remember what it says before. Kul a'udhu birabbin nas, I seek refuge in Allah from the enemy of men. Birabbin nas, maliki nas, the king of men, you know, Lord of men. And it's from the refuge of waswasa. Remember waswasa? Waswasa Khannas is a pretty mean fella. He whispers stuff into your heart, then he withdraws after whispering. And you think you messed up yourself. So that's how dirty he is. You go rob a bank and get caught and you say, man, that was a dumb idea. I did this with this and I did that and I didn't take care of this. And you think you had the idea. It wasn't you. It was Waswasa who whispered this into your heart. And then he backed up, so you can't blame him. If we know now, we can blame him now. But then, even if you catch him, what is it he gonna say? No matter when the day is decided, no matter, and he will say on the day the matter is decided, surely Allah promised you a promise of truth. I promised you, but I lied to you. I had no authority over you, except that I called and you obeyed me. So blame me not, but blame yourself. I cannot come to your help, nor can you come to my help. I deny your associating me with Allah. Surely for the unjust is a painful chastisement. Now, all this is, and in the word, they're using in this ayat, mushrik and all that, that the shaitan is calling you, and the devil will say when the matter is decided. Surely Allah promised you throughout the whole Quran, He promised you the truth. I lied to you. That's my name. Deceit, deception, right? To deceive, to slip around, the slinking devil. You know what I mean? Waswasa, whispering. His whole crew got these characteristics. Allah gave you a promise of truth. I lied to you. That's my job. See my job description. Deceiver, liar, deception, intrigue. Oh, you got a name tag on it, right? That's what it says. I lied to you. I didn't have no authority over you. I just whistled and you came running. Don't blame me. Blame yourself. And then he clarifies, I can't help you, you can't help me. And I deny your act of shirk, associating me with Allah. You gave me that authority to whisper up on you, slip up on you, and get you acting a fool. I deny that. I ain't gonna have nothing to do with it. That's you. That's the Quran. This guy is pretty bad. So that's what happens. That's why we're seeking what is it? Kulawlu Barabin Nas, Bliki Nas, Ilahi Nas. Bin Shari, Waswasi, Khannas. Alladhi was Wisufi Sudurin Nas, Minal Janati Wanas. So you're seeking refuge from both. From this low-down stuff from men and jinn. And another ayat in the Quran, it uses the word ins and jinns. Hey man, the Quran is a book of guidance. That's why when the people in Medina heard it, they said, we done heard a beautiful recital. That Surah 72 is called Jinn.